Jalen Brunson, yes, he's the best player on the New York Knicks, but the most important player is Karl-Anthony Towns when it comes to the Knicks trying to get to the promised land. He has to be dominant. And what we've seen over the last 2 games is that Karl-Anthony Towns has finally started to get featured in that offense.
Did the Knicks just swipe the most misunderstood star of the decade, and hardly anyone noticed until it was too late? For nearly 10 years, Karl-Anthony Towns wore one label every New Yorker claims to despise: soft. That single word followed him through revolving-door coaches, locker room feuds, and a stretch of personal heartbreak that would have folded most people, let alone the face of a franchise. Then 2 blistering nights in Madison Square Garden flipped the narrative on its head. By the time you reach the end of this story, you may feel like sending a handwritten apology to a 7-footer who never actually changed. Only our angle did. Draft night, 2015, silver suit, million-watt grin, and almost zero suspense. Scouts agreed Towns was the safest prospect in years, a rare 7-footer with ballerina footwork, feathery touch, and a processing speed that belied his age. At Kentucky, he willingly shrank his role so a roster packed with future pros could shine. 38 wins, 1 lonely loss, and yet he never cracked 11 points a night because winning, not numbers, set his compass. Kevin Garnett, back in Minnesota for a farewell lap, noticed. He comes in early, leaves late, asks questions most rookies don't know exist, KG growled to reporters, and coming from him, that was practically a bear hug. Year 1 in the NBA validated all the hype. Unanimous Rookie of the Year, an 18-10 stat line, and an efficiency rate no first-year center had touched since prime Shaq. But the Wolves still lost a lot. Front office tragedies and coaching carousels started spinning. Flip Saunders' heartbreaking death handed the clipboard to Sam Mitchell, who handed it to Tom Thibodeau, who eventually doubled as president of basketball ops, just long enough to reshuffle the deck again. Teammates came and went like Minnesota winters: Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, Andrew Wiggins, and finally Jimmy Butler, who detonated the perception bomb that has shadowed Towns.
But the
ever
conversation
since.
was
October 2018. Butler storms into practice wearing third stringers, dismantles the starters, and reportedly howls, "Y'all need me. Who the heck is gonna guard me?" Reporters live tweeted the carnage. Memes hatched within minutes. Suddenly, Towns wasn't the versatile prodigy. He was a big teddy bear who needed a binky. Lost in the chaos, that same season he averaged 26 points, 12 boards, and 4 assists on shooting splits that would make Dirk blush. The numbers, however, were powerless against a viral narrative. Real life soon punched harder than any headline. In March 2020, while the world battled COVID-19, the virus invaded Towns' family. His mother, Jacqueline, slipped into a coma and never woke up. 6 more relatives followed. He grieved in front of microphones, tears blotting out any trace of the swagger pundits said he lacked. Sympathy tweets poured in for a month. By the next news cycle, the hot take industry was back to diagnosing his killer instinct between Zoom game recaps. Through it all, he still managed 25 points and 11 rebounds on historically efficient numbers, but the talking heads dubbed it empty calories. As the pandemic waned, Minnesota's front office tried a moonshot fix. Summer 2022 produced the Rudy Gobert megatrade, 5 first-round picks, and half the rotation for a second 7-footer. The Twin Tower experiment looked intriguing on paper and suffocating on the hardwood. Towns was exiled to 28 feet, living as a reluctant shooting guard, while Gobert clogged the paint he once ruled. His touches dropped 5 per game, a calf strain stole 50-plus nights, Target Center boos grew louder than the arena organ, stat geeks kept receipts, 39% career from deep top 5 player efficiency among bigs, but the brand name label remained soft, soft, soft. Enter Madison Square Garden. The Knicks front office, laced with CAA connections, had tailed Towns since high school. Tom Thibodeau, now in New York and vowing that he'd evolved, quietly co-signed the pursuit. Still, the real salesman was Jalen Brunson, a point guard whose entire game hinges on pick-and-pop gravity. New York needed size that could shoot. Towns needed a stage that valued everything outside the restricted area. The match looked obvious, unless you believed history was doomed to repeat. From the moment Towns laced up orange and blue sneakers, the Garden felt supersized. His official unveiling came against Boston on national TV. 3 triples in 5 minutes yanked Kristaps Porzingis into early foul trouble, and Towns finished with 34, 10, and 6. The Garden crowd chanted KAT without a cue from Game Ops, a serenade even Carmelo rarely heard in his debut. 2 nights later, Miami rolled in hunting a grindfest. Towns answered by cooking Bam Adebayo, arguably the NBA's premier switch big, with a one-legged fade, then a step-back logo 3. 29 points through 3 quarters, a 17-point win, and ESPN morning shows shifted from "Is Cat worth the risk?" to "Is Cat the missing piece?" before sunrise. Observers insisted he suddenly looked tougher, edgier. In truth, he was simply freer, no longer dragging 5 losing seasons worth of psychic baggage each time he dribbled. Pause the highlight reel and inspect the resume. 3 All-Star selections, 2 All-NBA nods, a career line of 23 points, 11 boards, 3 assists. Only 3 men in league history averaged 20-plus points on 38% shooting from deep across 8 seasons. Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Durant, and yes, Karl-Anthony Towns. Advanced metrics haul in more evidence. Among bigs logging 30 minutes a night, only Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid boast higher career true shooting percentages. Towns ranks 4th all-time in made threes by a 7-footer, despite hundreds fewer attempts than Dirk or Brook Lopez. His passer rating, potential assists per touch, outranks Anthony Davis, LaMarcus Aldridge, even early career Chris Bosh. All that data sat in plain sight while we debated memes. Narratives orbit victory, not talent, and Minnesota wasn't winning. Take a quick look at the Eastern Conference right now. Embiid is rehabbing a cranky knee, Milwaukee is already on its 3rd coach of the season, and Boston still hasn't proven it can close tight series without the ball slipping through invisible fingers. Meanwhile, Brunson leads the league in 4th quarter scoring, Josh Hart guards positions 1 through 4 like a New Jersey pit bull, and Towns offers a playoff weapon most defenses can't scheme away: 7-foot range plus high post creation. Potential potholes exist. Thibodeau's short rotations could drain legs by May, and switching defenses may bait Towns into hero ball isolations. Throw in the New York tabloids waiting to pounce on a single off night, and the tightrope looks thin. Yet if he maintains 26 points and 10 boards on 18 shots, the Knicks legitimately sniff their first finals berth since VHS tapes. Picture that banner: 2024 Eastern Conference champions, led by a guy social media wrote off as pillow soft. Karl-Anthony Towns' arc isn't simply prodigy to scapegoat to savior. It's a full-color illustration of how context outmuscles talent in shaping our beliefs. He didn't sprout new muscles, discover some midnight rage ritual, or gulp down a secret serum labeled Mamba mentality. The shift happened in our perception. Trade unstable rosters and toxic labels for a coherent system and fair expectations, and the so-called softness morphs into emotional intelligence. So here's the uncomfortable question: which NBA player are we misjudging right this second, simply because their zip code refuses to let their skill set breathe? Drop a name below, and the next deep dive might uncover a star hiding in plain sight. Because sometimes the biggest plot twist in basketball isn't how a player changes, it's how history finally catches up.